Welcome everyone to today's webinar, 6 Keys to Success in Revenue Cycle Management for Out-of-Network Providers. I'm Richa Singh, Executive Vice President for CollectRx, and today we'll be hearing from Meagan Hanna, who's one of our senior account executives here at CollectRx, and we're going to be talking about our revenue cycle management secrets to success for out-of-network providers. And we're going to begin today's webinar with a presentation, and after that we'll have some time for a question and answer session. And you can submit any questions you have throughout the webinar by typing them into the Q&A box you see on your screen. We're looking forward to hearing your questions, and if we don't have time to cover them in today's session, we will reach out to you afterwards to answer them directly. Today's session is being recorded and will be available after the event, so you can use the same link you used to log into today's webinar to access that recording. For today's presentation, we'll start with a brief introduction to CollectRx, and after that, we'll discuss the challenges that we're seeing for out-of-network payer collections across the industry and with our clients. Next, we will give you a peek into CollectRx's secret sauce for optimizing the revenue cycle and talk about how we're able to generate results for our clients. We will then review the keys to a successful revenue cycle management program, including what we do differently than other companies and internal teams. And finally, we will provide a brief overview of CollectRx's billing and collection solutions. So to begin, let's start with a brief introduction of CollectRx, who is CollectRx, and why we are in the position to talk about payer collections for out-of-network providers. Let me give you a quick overview of our experience in payer collections and in out-of-network more specifically. So that way you can see how we are well suited to see these trends. And despite our name, CollectRx has nothing to do with the pharmaceutical industry. Simply put, what we do here at CollectRx is we help providers get higher reimbursements on in and out-of-network bills and maximize payer collections. We don't do this as consultants, but we do this more as experts in negotiating and appealing in order to achieve higher reimbursements on your out-of-network collections. We were founded by the founders of the out-of-network negotiations and appeals industry, and CollectRx has been singularly focused on helping providers get higher reimbursements since 2006. We've helped more than 2,500 providers nationwide optimize their reimbursements for in and out-of-network collections. And we work with a variety of provider types, including surgery centers, physician groups, hospitals, and labs. Now, to get the results that we get, we rely on Crixus, which stands for the CollectRx Information Systems. This is the proprietary data and analytics tool that we've developed to support us as we go toe-to-toe with payers. Crixus helps analyze insurance policies, it provides comparable data, and it allows us to track the tendencies and trends of the people on the insurance company side. In addition to Crixus, we rely on our expertise. We've built a very unique team of experts who used to work for the insurance companies and their vendors. So this puts us in a unique situation to understand the soft spots in the payer's position and get higher payments on bills for our customers. Now, in building the team at CollectRx, we focused on hiring people who had worked previously for insurance companies and their vendors to reduce payments on out-of-network bills. Companies like the ones that you see on this slide, including Aetna, United Healthcare, MultiPlan, and Viant. We also have doctors and in-house and outside legal experts, many of whom have spent their entire career dealing specifically with out-of-network bills. And as a result, CollectRx has an experienced team that understands how to combat the tactics that payers use to limit out-of-network reimbursements. So with that, let me hand it over to Meagan to talk the rest of the way. Meagan?
Thanks so much, Richa, for that introduction. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. Being good at managing the revenue cycle is not easy. It requires a vast amount of knowledge, attention to detail, and expertise in a variety of skill sets. The lack of time and resources to adequately manage the revenue cycle typically leads to providers running into issues like poor cash flow, aged receivables, and increased denials. So the top 5 issues plaguing providers that we talked to today are: 1, about 5 to 10% of revenue is lost because of poor AR follow-up due to a lack of time and technology. 2, whether it's in-network, out-of-network, or Medicare claims, they're not properly appealed and therefore money is left on the table. Thirdly, and specifically for any out-of-network claims, 30 to 40% of revenue is lost on each claim because of the lack of data, time, and expertise it takes to properly negotiate them. And fourth, billing systems are not robust enough to handle the collections process, so a lot of providers resort to spreadsheets, which leads to claims slipping through the cracks. And finally, providers are unable to properly manage their revenue without having proper KPI reporting. So all these holes in payer collections can add up to a gigantic loss in revenue for providers. So now let's talk about what we call here at CollectRx the keys to success. At the end of the day, it's really all about what a revenue cycle management team can deliver. As we go through this presentation, I'm going to show you how CollectRx's secret sauce helps ensure providers can maximize reimbursements, increase cash flow, and reduce aged AR. The recurring theme of our payer reimbursement solution is going to be every claim, every time. Oftentimes, AR companies want to write off AR balances rather quickly. And one of our biggest keys to success is to make sure each one of your claims is properly monitored, processed, and reconciled so your money's in the bank. So the first key is understanding payer tactics in order to reduce reimbursements as well as our specialized out-of-network expertise. We briefly discussed this earlier, but our experience on the payer side gives us a deep expertise in understanding how the payers operate. We know what tactics payers use to reduce and delay payments, like claim denials and documentation delays. Avoiding these tactics early will maximize your reimbursements and reduce your outstanding AR in the long run. Part of our secret sauce is the depth of our knowledge of how out-of-network reimbursements work from the insurance company's perspective. Our team comes from every major payer and vendor, and we handle over $1.3 billion in out-of-network bills each year. So, for example, in order to be successful, it's important to know things like when it's best to write or call the payer, what are the best arguments to make, how to read an EOB, and then whether to escalate internally at the payer or externally, like with the State Insurance Commission or U.S. Department of Labor. We like to say we see more out-of-network claims than anyone else in the country, and we know how to work these claims because we've seen them before. Another reason for our success is what we call our Crixus Business Intelligence Engine. Crixus serves as one of the largest out-of-network databases in the country. So no other revenue cycle company has as much information on out-of-network as we do. And like Richa mentioned earlier, Crixus stands for CollectRx Information System, and this is a data and analytics tool we've created to counteract the payer's efforts to reduce payments on out-of-network bills. So this is our proprietary software that we've developed to enhance payer reimbursements by automating AR follow-up, maximizing out-of-network reimbursements, and providing analytics and reporting. So many providers encounter issues with their revenue cycle because it's manual, time-consuming process. They spend too much time identifying issues with AR rather than fixing them because they have to individually check every account's 835 data. A lot of the times they resort to spreadsheets or restrictive software to keep organized, and they have to make multiple calls on each account just to get the status. So with Crixus, it allows us to analyze actual insurance policies throughout the country to determine what is reasonable and customary. And by analyzing these insurance policies, we're able to get a detailed understanding of plan types and language defining usual and customary. So for example, this company may want to pay 110% of Medicare. The policy might say reasonable and customary is similar facilities in the community charge. So we just rely on what the insurance company says, we go straight to the source. The second component of Crixus is that it gives us the ability to maximize revenue through our workflow engine. Crixus is a powerful tool that uses rules-based processing and AI to send claims to the right person at the right time for follow-up. It identifies those claims with the highest likelihood to provide additional payments and sends them to our staff for follow-up, ensuring that regardless of the volume of claims, we're working the ones most likely to impact revenue. And lastly, it provides us with an incredible amount of comparable data because we're aggregating data and results from the 2,500 customers that we service. We use data and analytics to compare our determination of reasonable and customary with the payer, and in many cases, we're actually able to identify holes in their data and convince the payer to increase their payment. Our database captures business intelligence about the tendencies and trends of the people on the payer side, and our experienced team knows who to speak with at each of these companies, and we have the ability to go to senior personnel at the payer who oftentimes are the only ones with the authority to approve higher payments to providers. So the way that Crixus works is that we pull data in from 3 different sources. First, we pull every account from the billing system, so we have the entire universe of your accounts receivable to follow up on. Then we track your clearinghouse's 835 and remit data from the payer. And best of all, we have robotic automation processes or bots that scrub payer websites to see how a claim is being adjudicated even before you receive 835. This is essential to reducing denials and days to receiving initial payment. And account statuses will automatically feed into our system, eliminating the need to follow up every 7, 10, or 14 days because these bots are continuously pinging payer websites. And since we get statuses even before you receive the 835, we can be much more proactive in working your accounts as opposed to waiting for them to hit your clearinghouse or waiting for the paper EOBs. And using all this information, Crixus will assign our staff these at-risk accounts through dynamic queues to quickly correct and prevent further AR deficiencies. So challenges to AR like denials, delays, and underpayments are automatically bucketed and sent to our staff to fix. I mean, think about how many collectors it would take to do all of this manually. And here you're going to see a screenshot from Crixus to show you how we pull in 835 data from the clearinghouse or payer websites to manage your AR. So while most billing systems work on an account-by-account basis, Crixus allows us to drill down into different categories. So for instance, if you look at that top left window, it summarizes the account statuses as defined in the billing system. So clicking on the blue links allow us to view every account in the denied, paid, and rejected statuses so we can take the appropriate next steps and track each of our staff members' progress. Another example is with the bottom dashboards, they pull in the reason code so we can easily recognize and report on root causes for appealing denials and underpayments instead of just hastily writing off balances. So one of our strongest procedures to optimize revenue is our in-depth reconciliation processes through collections, which is also our third key to success. So we found that when we follow behind another billing company or in-house billing team, there are many missed encounters which can lead to 5 to 10% missed revenue in AR follow-up alone. So we've put multiple checks in place to ensure that every single claim has been followed up on, processed by the insurance company, and there's money in the bank. So here's a quick example of a common mistake made by many providers when they're not taking the time to capture each encounter accurately and they're failing to reconcile billed claims to payment. In this example, the provider billed 20 encounters and 17 of them were successfully processed by the insurance company. But because the provider did not diligently follow up, the other 3 encounters were never processed by the insurance company. So if each of these encounters were worth $3,000, this would result in $9,000 of missed revenue just that day. So think, if this error occurred every day, it could result in a $180,000 loss of revenue throughout the entire month. So the point of this is even missing only one charge per day can add up to a significant dollars in the long term. The fourth key is workflow optimization. Understanding workflow is critical because the most common issues on the back end of collections are caused by breakdowns in the early parts of the revenue cycle, like clinical denials or incorrect 835 data. So we've automated AR workflow by, like I mentioned earlier, identifying these at-risk accounts so that a full-time employee doesn't have to spend the time doing so. Another point that sets us apart is our data and analytics, the fifth key to success. With Crixus, we're able to export your data and import it into our systems to provide excellent reports like root cause identification, trends, projections, and revenue impact. We can do this on a weekly, monthly, or ad hoc basis in order to help you make informed financial decisions quickly and manage the cost to collect. The biggest issue with any billing system is a lot of the times they're limited to the canned reports they provide. So with Crixus, if you're ever interested in a report that a system does not have, just let us know and we may be able to create it externally. The sixth key is specialized out-of-network expertise. The opportunity to increase out-of-network payments is so great that it can have a tremendous impact on your bottom line. So think about it. There aren't a lot of opportunities to increase reimbursement rates. Contracted and fee schedule rates are already fixed. So out-of-network is the only area where you can really increase rates and improve the bottom line. One thing we see a lot with, out-of-network is these negotiations. So the CollectRx negotiation prepayment service is used when the insurance company sends a fax attempting to negotiate a settlement on an out-of-network bill. In other words, the insurance company contacts the provider to negotiate a large discount after services are provided, but before any payment has been made. Here you see an example of the types of settlement proposals faxed by companies like Multiplan or Viant that work on behalf of the insurance companies. With our negotiation service, on 8 out of 10 standard facility bills, we are able to negotiate a settlement for 90 to 100% of bill charges. And with the CollectRx appeal post-payment service, so this is used when the insurance company reprices the out-of-network bill down to what they consider to be reasonable and customary, which can typically be close to the Medicare rate. So they send you a payment along with an EOB like the one that you see here. And from their perspective, the insurance company is taking on the position that they've met their obligation in paying the bill. CollectRx will then appeal by calling and writing letters and presenting our proprietary data to convince the insurance company that the initial payment was inadequate. With our appeal service, CollectRx obtains an additional payment on over 60% of qualified claims. And unqualified claims are ones that cannot be appealed due to factors like applying a silent PPO, timely filing, high patient responsibility, Medicare policies, amongst other factors. And when CollectRx obtains an additional payment, we get the insurance company to send you a second check. And our bonus key is being customer-centric. So our goal is to make things work smoothly from your end. If you're not happy, we're not doing our job. One of the biggest complaints we hear from providers is that their billing company is holding their information hostage. Remarkably, the provider is unable to retrieve their own EOBs or reports from their billing company. So you have to remember this is your data and these are your accounts. And CollectRx will make sure that you have full access to all of your information. Other ways we're customer-centric is that we can either connect to your system or we can provide it for you. If we provide the billing system, we will supply you with your own login and password so you can check up on what's been billed and collected at any time. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, we can also schedule reports for you so you don't have to log into the system. And we will hold monthly meetings to discuss the most common KPIs, and we can tailor these meetings to your needs. So a quick review here on our revenue cycle management services. So here at CollectRx, we do offer a full suite of revenue cycle services for both in and out-of-network providers. From billing to payer collections to patient collections, we do it all. And there's many benefits to CollectRx's payer reimbursement solutions. It's just another way for CollectRx to maximize more of your reimbursements and increase your cash flow.
All right, thank you so much, Megan. Appreciate that. Great presentation. There's a couple questions, so I'm going to go ahead and answer them. The first one that we have is from your findings about how much revenue is lost throughout the revenue cycle. So we've actually specifically done an analysis on revenue leakage from our clients that occurred during AR follow-up. And we did this area because there are just so many moving parts, and many providers, they end up doing this manually. They use spreadsheets. They have different people controlling different accounts, and we found that the average provider lost somewhere between 5 to 10% in revenue in this area. So basically, if you collect $200,000 per month, that's about 20K in monthly revenue that was unaccounted for. It's because of things like the claim wasn't processed by the payer, or they didn't try to overturn an appeal or an underpayment. And over the year, that $20,000 is going to add up to about $250,000, which is pretty substantial. Another question here is, what do you think about signing a contract with MultiPlan? They've contacted me a couple of times about it. So in terms of MultiPlan agreements or any general third-party agreement, they actually hurt your reimbursements and are not a great strategy if you're taking an out-of-network approach. These contracts, they act as caps to your reimbursements, so you're never able to get compensated for more than that contracted rate. Also, the agreements, they're written in a way that allow for additional cuts to your reimbursements on top of your contracted rate. So, if you just even go look on their website, go to multiplan.com, you'll see on that first page, it explicitly says that the payors are their customers and not the providers. All right, so that's about it for now. I want to thank Meagan again for her excellent presentation. And if anything, if you need to reach out afterwards, you can always contact us at info@collectrx.com. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to having you join us for future webinars. Thank you all.